Welcome back to the Young Adults Real Talk Forum, a place where great minds meet to talk about real issues in today's Christian society. We start this show in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Welcome back, great minds. Happy Father's Day. We are super excited about today's show. We have a very special show for you and some amazing panelists to help us with the discussion today. So please make sure to tune in and don't go anywhere. I want to start the show right now by introducing to you guys a very special guest we have in our midst today. We have a special co-host today with me, none other than our sister Afia, coming back to Great Minds. Afia, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Like Patty said, today being Father's Day, we wanted to take a moment to really dissect what it means to be a father. Yes. So we'll be discussing the essence of fatherhood today, looking at what it means to be a father, what some qualities are of a great father. So stay tuned.
All right, I'm excited. Stay tuned, great minds. Don't make sure you don't go anywhere. And remember that you are equally a part of the panelists here today. So make sure you tune in and you send in any questions that you have to 704-607-4706. All right, we are going to introduce our panel for you today, starting right here on my far right. We have Mr. Baidu coming back to bless us again today. Welcome, Baidu. It's been a minute. We missed you. So glad to see you on the show. And of course, we could not do this show today without having our local Pensa leader here with us. We have Brother Emmanuel coming back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And of course, guys, we're super honored today. Great Minds is still celebrating our 1-year anniversary. And we have with us our honorable district pastor in our midst, Pastor Richard Nsia, to bless us on this Father's Day. Welcome, Daddy. Super excited to have you on. And we had to bring back Elder Frank from last show. Everybody wanted to see his face again. So Elder Frank, welcome to Great Minds today. All right, so before we get started, guys, I just want to get your brain moving a little bit, get you a little excited. So we're going to do a quick icebreaker. Now, in honor of Father's Day, I want to take you all the way back, not when you were crawling, but like your teen years, right? And I want to start with you, Pastor, if it's okay. But I just want to ask you guys, each of you, the same question. What is one memory you remember from your father that just stuck with you till this day?
Personally, what I remember is my father will always make sure that every morning, before we go to school, he will wake up and help us to get our breakfast.
Oh.
Which is, in Africa, the breakfast was in the egg and all that. You know, he will make sure we get our stuff for the tea. You know, the Milo.
Yeah.
Like that. So that's what he was able to do with us. And I always remember that. So before you leave, he will be around. And, you know, you can always remember the face
Yeah.
of him, you know, sending you off from school.
That's
so
awesome.
That was very important to me, and I still remember that moment.
Do you still do that with your kids now? Do you have that little tradition you do like that with them, breakfast in the morning?
For my kids, they don't like the breakfast.
They're like me. I don't eat breakfast either.
When you give them the breakfast, they say, no. I don't like breakfast.
I don't blame them.
That's what they always tell me. They don't like breakfast. But for them, you know, I'm always involved.
Yeah.
In getting ready to go to school.
Awesome.
So that's one thing I'm able to do with my children.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't blame them. I don't eat breakfast either. I always skip that meal. Elder Frank, what about you? When you think about your dad, what is a memory from your childhood that sticks with you?
Yeah, growing up, 4 boys, 4 girls, my dad would always look at the boys and said, respect women and don't mess them up.
Yeah.
And,
That's some great advice.
That's right.
That was, and one thing he said to the boys is, if you should mess any woman up, I'll swap your school fees and take care of the woman.
Oh, man, that's
stuck
deep.
with us for a long time, and it made us give a lot of respect to women.
Oh, man, so how was it when you started dating? Was that like in the back of your mind? Were you nervous?
Yeah, it's, you know, going back through high school, you know, anytime my friends were like, hey, Frank, we think this girl is kind of interested, then I always, it's like my dad
You
is
hear
ringing,
that voice?
It's like my dad is ringing that bell in my ears. It's like, I'm not going to mess up, you know, but it was a good moment for us to always reflect on what your dad always says.
That's
You
awesome.
live with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Beidou, what about you? What is a memory you remember from your dad?
A memory I remember is just him making me always read books. One thing I hated when I was younger was just reading. I don't know. I just felt like it was useless. But I remember, like, he would sit down with me on a little couch we had, and he would make sure I'm reading, like, reading out loud. I'd sit right there, and I would just be reading books day and night for weeks on. I remember, like, summertime.
Wow.
During the summertime, that's all I did was read books with him. Yeah. So I mean, but that's always stuck with me now. So.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Good dad. Daddy's watching. Good job, Daddy. What about you, Emmanuel?
Yes, mine was kind of a little bit different because he was away a lot of times, but then anytime he came around, the one thing he kept hammering was you've got to work hard if you really want to make it in life, and if you really want to make a lot of money, you have to work hard. Because he was a workaholic. He started working at a very early age. So that was what he instilled into us, that if you really want to own your own stuff, you don't have to depend on people. You have to be your own person, like be dependent on your own self. Yeah, because people always disappoint you. So that's one thing he instilled into me.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. I like that. And Ifya, before I pass it to you, what is your memory? You didn't think I was going to ask you a question, but what is your memory?
Right. So I think it's the same thing for me. I think the work ethic. My dad works really hard too, and so. The one thing that when I think about my father, my mind usually goes to is that strong work ethic.
Yes.
Like you have to work hard and have to work hard for the things that you want in life. So.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I think for me, I always get emotional on Father's Day because then I start to miss my dad. But I want to say I'm kind of with Elder Frank because my dad had that talk with me in 5th grade. I remember we were in a car and he said, yeah, make sure you don't follow any of these boys because they will mess you up. So stay far away from them. And that just stuck with me so hard. I was like, yeah, so I appreciate that. And I think that's good too for the men to have those conversations with their daughters as well. So that's awesome. Over to you, Ifya.
All right, so the following conversation is not tied to any denomination, but is focused on the Christian community as a whole. So hang tight, we're gonna go to commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll dive right in.
Yes.
Welcome back. So we're gonna get right into our questions, and my first question actually is for Elder Frank. When you think about fatherhood, what does that mean to you? What is your understanding of fatherhood, and what does it personally mean to you?
Mm-hmm. Growing up, anytime they talk about father, I looked at it as, why do we have a heavenly father, right? You think about, okay, if we have a heavenly father, then that becomes a perfect example of fatherhood. And then when they define the Heavenly Father with the compassionate, the forgiving, and the caring, and the loving aspect, this attribute of a Heavenly Father, then that becomes your perfect example to be the earthly father. So when you look at that composition, then you want to mimic what the earthly father does that makes him get attraction. So as a father, you also want your children to get that attraction towards you. So you want to have that compassionate, that loving care, and the forgiving. Because children are stubborn, and one thing they will always go to, they know mom and dad who is forgiving, and when they do bad stuff, they know who to run to. So as a father, I believe that, I realize that you have to be tough on discipline, but you have to be soft on loving and caring for them.
That's awesome. What about you, Pastor? What would you say?
All right, when it comes to me, unfortunately, I've lost my voice.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, so when it comes to me, I always look from this perspective. As Frank said, fatherhood starts from God, who is the Father. Scripture says you do not receive a spirit of fear or the spirit of bondage, to live in fear, but the spirit of sonship, and for you to call God Abba, Father. The word Abba means relationship. It means that God is the Father and we are His sons. And to me, I believe that when you, as a human being, a man, when you give birth, automatically you become a father. You know, but there's also another level of fatherhood. You know, but as long as you have given birth to somebody, you are a father.
Right.
But the question is, are you a responsible father or you are not a responsible father? So that those are the things we also have to look into when we talk of fatherhood. But I believe that a father is anybody who has given birth to a girl or a boy, or even if you have adopted, you know, a child, then you are a father. But are you responsible father? Are you a responsible father? I think that is also another question that probably we have to
Right, that's
I
a
was
good
going to
right.
say you was going to jump ahead.
Yeah,
Get
Pastor's
into the
already right into
conversation.
it. That is so true. But Pastor, I have a question for you real quick. What about I didn't adopt, I didn't give birth, but maybe there's like a neighbor kid of mine that I know that I've been kind of fathering. Is that also something that is like somebody that's a family friend, and you know, people say you're more a father to me than my father was. Like, what does those dynamics look like?
All right, I mean, it always depends on that individual to look up to you as a father. You know, as a pastor, even when it comes to the work that we do, there are a lot of other people, you know, ministers, seasoned ministers, that we look up to them as our spiritual father.
Right.
You know, but I will call what you just said, the example you gave, I would say you are a mentor.
Okay.
You are a mentor. That's
true.
You are mentoring such people who doesn't have father in their life. So you can be a mentor to people like that. You know, but me personally, even me calling somebody my spiritual father, what I'm trying to say is that the person is my mentor. You know? So we can mentor people, but you know, I believe a father is a person who have given birth or adopted somebody that you are living with the person every day, living with the person in your house. So that is, a fatherhood is a 24 hours responsibility.
Yes.
It's not just now and then advice you give to somebody. You know, that one is mentorship. But if you want to call yourself as a father, then it's something you always have to be there, not just one time.
Awesome, exactly. And Pastor just went right into my second question, Emmanuel. I'm going to pass it to you. The qualities, right? What qualities make a father unique from other men? Kind of similar to what Pastor is talking about. So what are some of those qualities, if you can list it out for us?
I think there are quite a few qualities, but there are three key qualities I would like to touch on. I believe a good father, like a responsible father, has to be dependable. Your kids should be able to depend on you, like Pastor Riley said. I mean, they should be able to look up to you like a mentor and believe in you that, hey, daddy can do this. You know, let's say you're slipping and you're falling. Daddy, you know, you're sure that he's going to save you. I was just reading a short story somebody sent to me about a neighbor who was helping their neighbor because the lady was widowed. So I think her mower got broken down. So the neighbor came over to help, and he realized that he needed his tools. So he went for his tools, and his young boy followed him there. And the young boy told the lady, the dad was helping, that if this is fixable, my dad is surely going to fix it. So like, I mean, the boy had confidence in the dad. So I mean, so creating an environment where, you know, your kids will believe in you and know that my dad is this dependable, he's always going to be there for me. And I mean, fatherhood also calls for being involved, because you have to be involved in your kids' lives through thick and thin. I mean, even if they do something bad, because I mean, that's what kids do. We are all human, you know, because I mean, growing up yourself, you know that you went through thick and thin, and you've gotten to where you are now. So it's now your time to also take care of somebody to get through, you know, the challenges that you went through. So I mean, it's not a time where you have to keep scolding, but just be involved and let them know that, hey, even though you're falling, you know, you can rise up and make amends, you know, the next go around. And fatherhood, I mean, it's not a one-way street. I mean, there's also a mother on the other side. So valuing mom is another key thing, because the kids have to look at you and say, the way you're treating mom, I think it's a good thing. They have, I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to say okay, mom is always right, but you know, I mean, there are definitely going to be mistakes, but the way you discuss it with mom, you know, in a loving way, even if you are mad, make sure that, you know, you discuss in a loving way, and then when the kids are not around, then you can actually iron things out with mom later on. But they have to see the positive side of, you know, being a father, you know, to their mother, You know, at the end of the day, they're also going to grow up and, you know, get a family.
Right.
So, you know, dependability is key, and being involved in their lives and, you know, valuing mom, you know, among several other, you know, qualities.
Qualities, yeah. And, you know, I want to stay here for a second, Afia, before you jump to your next question. You're talking qualities. What about the children? Like, I want us to dissect it a little bit more as far as, because I know some fathers who are the ones, like, cooking for the kids, bathing the kids, doing the full 9 yards. What does that, is that not really what fatherhood is about? Is there like a set description? Like, I just have to be the provider, go out in the field and bring in like the, you know, the duffel bag with all the money. But what about the nurturing part of fatherhood? I want us to kind of address that a little bit. Elder Frank, maybe to start with you, your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe that anytime it comes to fatherhood, you have to be able to differentiate between marriage and parenthood. Marriage and parenthood. And when it comes to parenthood, you have to be able to stay away from split responsibility and shared responsibility. The split responsibility, the old school way, the old time where you go and they tell you, mom stays home, mom cooks, mom takes you, dad is always supposed to go to work, come home and sleep and eat, and mom gotta respect
in that order.
fully.
Right.
That is what the old school called the split responsibility. In our days, we have what we call the shared responsibility. Mom can cook, dad can cook. Mom can bathe the baby, dad can do it. So when you have that, you know, basic concept of knowing that in marriage, God puts you together to complement each other, and that brings in the shared responsibility. So whatever, at times we kind of obscure it, but whatever the man can do and is able to do,
right,
and whatever the woman can do and is able to do, they should be able to do it together. And have that shared responsibility so that you take care of each person's strength and each person's weakness. And that helps to make sure that as you bring out the children, you change diapers. The first time I changed diaper, I didn't know the little ones, they can have a little bit stinky ones. I was like, I appreciate you, wife, for doing this
every day.
It's not easy. So that helps men to be very humble. And it also helps to earn the respect. You can never command respect in marriage. You have to earn the respect in marriage. And that is how you can sustain your marriage.
Okay, good. So I'm getting one question in from the panel, from the Great Mind panel watching at home, if you're that I'm going to let you jump in with your question. So this question is for you, Pastor. It says, is there anything that you wish you would have asked your father but didn't? That's pretty deep. That's a pretty deep
That's
question.
a hard question too.
Like, why did you beat me so hard? But no, what would you have asked but didn't? Like, anything that you can think of if you had to go back and ask him but you didn't get to.
You know, one of the things is that I personally, I came to America at some kind of, around the age of about 20, 24 there about, you know, and I've been here about 20 years. Over. You know, so one of the things is that I wasn't able to have, you know, whilst growing up, because I traveled here, even though whilst I was young, and my life was more of, you know, going to school in a boarding house. So we couldn't get much time to spend with our parents. And most of the time too, whilst we were in a boarding house, you know, on vacations, we would be living with uncles and stuff like that, because my father works, he moves around. So I think I would have had a lot of stuff that I wish I could have asked my father today. The good thing is that most of the things my mother have answered those questions for me, because my father is not around anymore.
Right.
So some of the things I want to say is that why we couldn't have that bond,
Yeah.
you know, that relationship, you know, that I'm having with my children, you know, those days.
Right.
And at the same time too, we, you know, living here, I kind of get it. I understand what it means to be an African father and also an American father. And there were certain things that maybe I can't talk about that I wish I could have asked my father, you know. And the other thing is that we have a big family, and I talk about my father's children. You know, I would have also asked why
So many
Why so many
kids.
kids?
Over 14. Okay.
you know, on my father's side, we have a lot of them. So I wanted to ask him what happened. You know, what happened? Why a lot of children like that? So I think those are the things that I wish I could have asked him. And the relationship aspect, even though my father was always there, but we weren't that connected. That relationship aspect weren't there. You know, when he comes in the house, you know, as soon as you hear the sound of his car, even my mother would say, your dad is here. So the whole house will shut down. Everybody will become quiet. Things that are not in place supposed to be in place. So that relationship wasn't there. So I would have asked that, why?
Why that
even though
fear?
we were around, but we couldn't get that relationship from him.
And I think that's,
so
you know,
true.
I think that's really important
Yeah.
because when you go back to, you know, and we like to say back home a lot, but growing up as an African child in a, you know, household with your parent, I think that is a common narrative where dad is made out to be, you know, the authoritative type or the figure in the home. And sometimes that can steal away some of that relationship if dad doesn't figure out how to walk that line. So Beidou being the youngest among us and not a father yet, I wanted to come to you. I know that, you know, your panelists have said quite a bit in terms of, you know, the qualities a father should have, but for you as a young person, right? Because I think it's important sometimes, you know, you do something by the book, but does it really have
Right.
an impact? As a young person, tell us a little bit about your father. What are some of the qualities that you feel your father has that is impacting your life as you're growing up and also causes him to stand out from the fathers that are, you know, you're growing up around?
I definitely see him being very involved in my life. Well, not even my life, but my siblings' life as well. Just knowing like he's always there for us. Like he puts the family in front of him. So like everything that he does is because of us. So like, you know, he's working. Sometimes he has 2 jobs because of us. You know, he's trying to provide for us, always being there. So it's like that quality of him putting us first, making sure that we're straight, that we're good. Like he doesn't really buy clothes. He doesn't buy stuff for himself because he knows that he needs the money to provide for us. So, you know, giving us food, giving us water, our house. You know, we just recently moved, and most of that was because of him. You know, we couldn't be where we are today without him. Like he's done so much for us. So like, you know.
Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you for real. Thank you. So you know, just having that quality of putting us first is, I think, is very big, and being very involved. So like, I remember like just recently I finished my first year of college. You know, I remember at college, he would always call how's school going, you know, and I'll tell him, oh, I'm having trouble in math, you know, he'll give me tips, you know, try to reach out to teachers, try to reach out to friends, you know, always being there. Remember in 8th grade, I was playing football. I would see him walk around the track, you know, looking for him.
That's
looking
important.
For me. I mean, he didn't know my number, but it's like he was looking, I could see him looking to see if he could see me on the field and stuff like that. So I remember like he's always been there for me and my family, so I definitely think those qualities are very important as a father.
All right.
Amazing.
All right.
They
So,
do.
so I got a question while, you know, we were chatting from our great minds at home. And I think I'm going to start with you, Brother Emmanuel, but we would love to hear your thoughts as well, especially Pastor and Elder Frank, being fathers now. What are some mistakes that you made growing up that has taught you the most about life?
The mistakes that I made.
Or just one
You're on live
mistake?
TV, but just clean it up. Just make it pretty.
I think I'm still making the mistakes because I mean, we're human. I tell myself that, okay, I'm not going to yell because yelling is one thing that my wife doesn't like, you know, I guess all women. It will happen and she will just, you know, keep quiet, you know, that silent treatment. And when it happens, I realize that the peace of the home just, you know, evaporates. I mean, there's no peace in the home. Yeah, so it's something that I've constantly, you know, had to remind myself of, and even screaming on the kids, because it's either the kids or her, you know, because of something they did that I didn't like, you know. But I mean, what I've realized is that there should be a way that these things can be handled. Because I mean, it shouldn't always be screaming. You know, sometimes you can just keep quiet. Because I mean, when the woman does the keeping quiet part, then the peace is gone. But when I keep quiet, you know, sometimes she's able to come and ask me, you know, what's going on. Then I'll be able to, you know, say it in a nicer way, because I would have been cooled down by then.
Right.
You know, and because when she comes, you know, I know she's my wife, and you know, it will be, you know, a nicer way of, you know, handling things. So I think screaming is, you know, one big thing. Because especially screaming on the kids is, you know, my way of, you know, not spanking them. Because it's either spank them or scream. Yeah, so
right?
Yeah, my thing. So sometimes I take the screaming out on the wife as well, because maybe the kids are doing something or something I told them not to do.
Misdirected
so pretty
anger.
much, yeah. So that's something that I'm still working on, and hopefully in the near future, you know, maybe when we have discussions like this,
we have hope.
The narrative will be different.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so, yeah.
What about you, Elder Frank? Let me kind of tweak the question a little bit for you. What is a mistake maybe you made in your teenage years, right? So you mentioned dad really telling you, okay, do this and that, really trying to guide you so that you have a smooth childhood into adulthood and that you come out right. So what is a mistake you made that, you know, taught you about life? Maybe dad said not to do this and you kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit, and then it taught you, so you're like, okay, I know now, I'm not
The way
doing
you're
that again.
smiling, I want to hear this. Like, he's like, he has the scenario.
You know, I remember growing up, my dad talked about, you know, those who smoke and those who don't smoke, and he was always kind of classify them as kind of unsuccessful. And I didn't see it that way, because I saw people who smoke who were also big men, they have money, and, you know, especially living in Tema, you know, they go blow time, and,
Right.
you know, so I remember when I was high school, I think Form 3 would be what?
Third grade here?
11.
No,
11th
that's,
grade.
yeah, right.
Yeah, 11th grade. So 11th grade, you know, a group of boys, you know, Cove Town, there's a little town, they have in Sinful palm wine and, you know, those things. And, you know, my guys, we went out there, and, you know, a guy was, you know, smoking, and he's like, you are from Tema, you are a guy, you can't be like, so they intimidated me
pressure.
they intimidated me so much and put pressure on me, and I was like, you know, I want to just try this, and
Take a
I sneezed, and that thing gave me a headache, and I told myself that my dad was right.
He was
you know, because I thought I was going to go crazy, you know, and since then it taught me a lesson. You know, and I believe that was, if probably if I hadn't coughed and went through that, maybe I would have, you know, maybe if I'd enjoyed it, that would have been a different ball game.
Right,
but
right.
I believe that my dad, you know, prayed, and I didn't have a good experience. And I always remember that, and that is a bad experience that I thought, you know, peer pressure forced me into it, and I
Right.
wish I hadn't.
Done some of those
Right,
things.
right.
Oh man, that's amazing.
What about you, Pastor? I think let's just go around the table.
I know,
and
right?
just-
Same question.
Yeah, same
Pastor's
question,
like,
you
wait a
know,
minute.
A mistake or something that maybe you kept making mistakes on that really taught you about life more so than maybe daddy said so.
I mean, one of the things about my life is that whilst I was young, I was very aggressive. So there were so many things that I feel like, personally, I don't know much things that, like I said, the only thing that I feel like I can say is that, you know, I was aggressive, even though, you know, we had that God-fearing and all that, but I was very aggressive, outspoken, but you always tell you gotta be careful, because this can get you into trouble, you know, and it got me into trouble many times, but as I was, you know, growing up, I realized, you know, I need to adjust myself. You know, that not everywhere that you have to just speak.
Right.
You know, there were moments that, you know, even something that everybody in the house was, because I told you, my father have a lot of children. So
Right.
sometimes they are around. And, you know, something that somebody had done, and they don't want my father to know. They know as long as I see it,
It will come out.
it will come
Oh, so
That's
Pastor
right.
was a snitch. Oh my goodness.
But, it's just an example of what, how outspoken I was.
Right.
Certain issues, when adults ask me certain questions or if they don't say things the right way, I will speak up. Say, you know what, you can't do this. Stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And those things got me into trouble many times, even at school. My seniors, have to go through that challenges. I wasn't afraid to speak my mind.
Right.
To them. Said most of the time. So I realized those things was not good. Whilst I was growing up, even though I think that maybe that was something that God was trying to let me know that the time will come, I will be preaching the word.
Yes, I was going to say that.
I will twist the question to say something my father wanted me to do so bad that I didn't do, that I turned around to do what I'm doing.
Right now.
Is that, he wanted me, to be, to do a political science, to become a politician.
Okay.
Because you were so outspoken.
I was
Yeah. He's like, he'll be a
become
good.
politician. And for me personally, whilst I was in Ghana, going to high school, I used to love politics. I really wanted to do political science so bad, till I came to America and everything has turned around. So that is something he wished he could have, seen me become a politician. And I'm very confident that if he was still alive today,
He'll be very
would
proud, yeah.
of who I am as a
Definitely.
pastor. And because he never thought maybe I'll be a pastor.
Right.
So that is one thing I want to say. And it's not even surprised because of how outspoken I was.
Right, right. And I do have two questions coming in from the great minds, and then I'll jump back to the question I have for you, Pastor. But quick question, kind of follow up, Pastor, to what you said. They want to know, because you mentioned about, if you could go back with your father, you'll have that connection, that love, right? So the great minds at home want to know, why is it so difficult for the fathers to show their soft side? Why is it always just that straight face? It's almost like we choose to only be mean to our children. Like, why is it that fathers choose to only just yell all the time? I know my husband's watching. Sometimes I'll say, baby, you're yelling. You're still yelling. And he's like, no, but I have to yell. And I'm like, no, you don't have to yell. But why is it that we have to show? Is it like a man thing? Like they have to see me as a father, as a man in the house?
Man-ego thing.
It's a man-ego thing. Oh, okay. So it's a man-ego thing. Emmanuel, is it a man-ego thing? You agree?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, really?
there
So
are
it's
women-
really just, I want to take a step back. So it's really just an ego thing. Like, I'm kind of amazed. 'Cause
Yeah,
It's a reflex. It's a reflex
Yeah.
action. The
Really?
man always want to
Flex his
If
muscles.
they see things going wrong, you have that inner intuition to just speak out, so everybody just calms down.
shush.
And if you are not careful, you might overdo it, and then your wife is looking at you, and you think, I did it right, and your wife is like,
Baby, that was too hard. Oh,
You
so we
know,
should just
so-
leave you then.
that-
Okay. Well, I'm really glad. That's very enlightening, because I always wondered that.
I also want to say that, I think that is why we should understand the genesis of, marriage.
Yeah.
And also fatherhood. If you look at we were talking about some of the responsibilities of a father. The genesis and the responsibility of a father, looking at it from the God perspective, and even, where we come from, traditional wise, we should understand that, father is being assigned to be the one, the breadwinner of the family. They are the head of the family. That's what God has created them to be. The mother is there to be there to support the family. The man is being called to lead the family. And as time evolves, and also as life is evolving, and we are all growing, moving to a different side of the world,
Right.
we understand that, okay, that is the principle of marriage, all right. But at the same time, we have to adjust. We have to adjust where, Elder Frank spoke about the sharing of responsibility.
Yeah.
So whilst we are growing and moving to this side of the world, we have to learn how to share responsibility. I mean, for me, growing up, my father will not wash the bowl.
Right.
You know, the food always will be put on the table for him.
You have to go clean it up.
And when he finished eating, he just get up.
That's
And
right.
then we just
You
come
know,
and take
yeah.
the bowl and all that from there. But you can always count on him that he's the one providing for the needs of the family, paying of school fees and everything the family needs, and also what our mother needs. My mother wanted to work so bad, but she couldn't work because of the work of my father. You know, so she was always the mother of the house. So that is the concept in which we grow out from. So me personally, even when I got married, I have to adjust. And it took time, and I'm still adjusting. There are some
Right.
things I'm still even learning from my wife. You know, so that is the concept of fatherhood and also marriage. And that is, and every woman, maybe if you are watching us, something we should understand is that when those things start to come out of your husband, it's not something you should always just get pissed off
Right.
at your husband.
Right.
But understand that gradually, you have to find ways to let him understand how important it is for him to adjust in spite of the background he grew up from. And if we don't do that and we want to stop him right there,
Right.
you can never stop him.
Patience.
You can never take
Okay.
that out of him. And you say your husband sometimes try to scream at the children. And if you go back a little bit, you will realize, and maybe if he tell you a little bit about his story, you will realize that even he is trying to be nice.
The moderate side. Moderate side.
You know, he's trying to be nice, and you know, he's even adjusting. Why? Because of how he grew up. We all grew up from there. And I think the reason why our fathers weren't able to have that relationship with us is because of the great responsibility they had. They weren't always at home. Anytime they come home, they go to eat, and after they eat, maybe get ready for bed.
Oh.
You know, stuff like that.
Right.
For the next
So
day.
it wasn't intentional, but it's what they knew.
Right.
And that is, and also the responsibility they were bearing at that time. The majority of Ghanaian fathers weren't working.
Right.
Ghanaian mothers weren't working. It was always the fathers who were the breadwinner of the family. So, you know, I think now things are changing.
Right. Right.
So I think we are adjusting, and we ask for patience.
Yes.
And we will adjust.
As we're adjusting. That's awesome. And real quick, Emmanuel, I have one question from you from the Great Mind panelists. You know, one thing I find interesting is that when the women leave and they're not home and they leave the kids with the father, if you call him, what are you doing? I'm babysitting my kids. It's like, those are your kids. Can you babysit? Kids are yours. Why do men say that? Like, are you forgetting that those are your biological children? You're with your children.
I think that has a bearing on what Pastor said, because the dad feels that, you know, he's doing all the work providing, so the woman also has to take care of everything, you know, that has to do with, you know, keeping the kids and, you know, changing that and all that good stuff. I mean, that's, I think, a wrong notion, but then it's something that I think we have to grow out of. I mean, because they are your children as well. If mommy is gone somewhere, I mean, take that responsibility, because I mean, you are responsible for the kids,
right,
equally. Yeah, so if that same child goes, you know, wins a scholarship and brings money, you're not going to say,
yo, I was babysitting
you did
this.
more, so
you're
going to
say that's my son.
Yeah, so that notion has to be, you know, eradicated, so we can, you know, say that, okay, mommy's not home 100%, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That way, you know, the kids will even, you know, feel, you know, that bond with you, because I mean, most of the kids have their dad gone away most of the time. I mean, they bond with the mom more. Everything is mom. So I mean, that's, I think, should be an opportunity for the dads to actually bond, and not to say, oh, I'm babysitting, making the woman feel like, hey, he has to hurry up and come back home. No, it shouldn't be like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Because I always wonder that. Like, it's like, oh, I'm babysitting Mike. I'm like, those are not, it's not babysitting. But Pastor, real quick for you, right? We just want to hear from you for a second as a pastor, as our pastor. We know you face so many different things. So we want to ask, like, what are some challenges you face when it comes to raising your kids? Because you have your own family, your own pastor has his own family, guys, in case you didn't know. So you have your own family, and then you have us. your extended church family. Like you're shepherding us. You're shepherding the church. What are some challenges do you face, and how do you like drive your way through all of that?
Yeah, it can be very challenging. It can, but you know, as a pastor, the responsibilities you bear are many. You know, spiritual and physical. And you know, the number one thing when it comes to the question you ask is that dividing of attention. That is the number one thing where I want to start from. Dividing of attention. Like I said yesterday, my wife wasn't around, so mommy wasn't around. You know, I dropped her at the airport, and I have Mariah, my 4-year-old, with me. You know, I had to be on the Zoom. People are watching, streaming live. She was also coming to me. She comes and she's showing me the clothes that she wears. You know, and she'll go and draw something for mommy for her birthday.
Yep.
And she come, whilst I was online, you know, sometimes we will be preaching, and she'll say, "Look at it, Daddy. Do you think it's nice? You know, just keep it there for mommy. Tomorrow you give it to her." You know, and all these things, and sometimes that dividing of attention is huge.
I can imagine.
And especially this work that we do. Right now, if I tell you the things I have to do
Today.
when we leave the show, and she's not at home.
Right.
She's not here now. And so the kids might not get all this attention from me when I go. I'm supposed to kind of, hey, what's going on and stuff like that. The things that is waiting for me, I might not be able to do those things. You know, so I have to always be careful of how I divide my attention when it comes to the church and also family. And the reason why I said it can be a challenge is that it is. So it is me that I should be able to divide it well so it will not become a challenge.
Right.
And I know this is a big problem to a lot of pastors, a lot of ministers' household.
Yeah.
Because the attention is not there. And a lot of people complain about pastors' kids and, you know, stuff like that. You know, we are thankful to God, especially we that we are here in this part of the world. Because when you look at ministers back home, one pastor will be pastoring about over 20 churches.
Wow.
20 churches. And, you know, for you to divide their attention is very, very difficult. So to me, what I do is that I have set time. There are days I have for them. So those days are Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Those are the days we do our devotions. Those are the days we do our family time. We divide one for devotion, one for family time.
Okay.
You know, and I told them these are days that I'll be able to kind of take you out and kind of you know, have that time with you.
That's good.
The other days, you know, I might not, I'm there, but I might not be there.
Right.
You know, so it will be like little attention that you can give it to them. But the days I can spend all that time with you is Tuesdays and Thursdays. Even those ones, they are stuff like
Comes up.
Kind of split.
But still, I need to make sure I give them their time.
Right.
You know, and while, because they are young, they are still understanding. And that is why a lot of pastors' children don't want to be pastors.
Right.
Because of the things they see.
They see,
all the time.
yeah,
It's
that's so
hard,
true.
It's difficult. But the grace of God is enough.
Yes.
And the good news is I thank my wife. You know, because of her, I'm able to kind of divide this attention. Because of her, even whilst I'm not there, she will step in, you know, for me. You know, days that I'm not able to even do it or even forget. Because there are so many things you forget some of them. She will remind you that we need to do this.
Right.
You know,
Right.
stuff like that. So that is what I've separated the days, and then I use those days for them. And the other days, you know, I kind of give them a little attention here and there. So that's what I'm able to do it. But you should be intentional about dividing your attention when it comes to the church family and your own family.
Awesome, awesome. And speaking of Suffer Mommy, this month is her birthday month. So happy birthday, Mommy, for watching, and thank you so much. I'm going to break for a second because we're going to turn the camera around. Our director has a quick suggestion that he wants to bring in. So we're going to have and hear real quick from Elder K, real quick, with his suggestion. Elder K, what do you have for great minds watching at home today?
Okay, I have two. One is question and one is a contribution.
Okay.
I think the Chris Party may mention that we men, we sometimes will yell on our kids. That is not helping. But we shouldn't also forget that sometimes when the kids are going wayward, the women are the one that yell and say, honey, where are you? But you should just think about all these things and say, you know what? The husband is the one that he speak for the kids to be, stop whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Or even if they're going wayward, husband is the one that swim to rescue these kids.
Hey, a whole swimming.
Really?
Hey! I can't remember a couple of weeks ago, I saw one of my sons. We have our second floor. There's a wall over there that I saw him look like he's trying to go over it.
No.
So my wife yelled and said, honey, where are you? I had to run quickly from the bedroom and hold this guy and I yelled at him and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, I
can imagine.
him a little bit and said, son, you can't
Never.
do that.
Right.
And so since from there, I see this boy, he don't want to go close to that thing. But if it was my
that
wife
fear in
alone, he
him.
probably going to say, what are you doing? Say it in the soft way that the boy will go back in there again. So sometimes it's not like we're trying to yell on the kids that we don't like them. We try to let them stop whatever they're doing that we think that is not going to help them in future. So that is my one suggestion. And also, I want to just throw this to Pastor and also at the front that we the young ones, we are yelling to do the God's work. And sometimes you know how you want to balance the church assignment and also the family as well. Mm-hmm. So let's say if you wanted the young ones, you take a vacation and you don't want to just answer phone calls for the church, and then somebody will say, now, you go on vacation, you don't want to answer my phone calls, you don't want to do it, and then it make you feel like doing God's work is a good thing, or not to involve
Right.
with the God's work is a good thing.
Sounds
so
kinda
sometimes
personal.
we want
Sounds
people to
kinda
also
personal,
understand
right?
us that we also human, we have family.
Oh.
So it will come to a scenario whereby you will pay attention to your kids. Like Pastor said, on Thursdays, on other days, he pay attention to his family or the kids. How would the church know that this time family, pastor want to dedicate
'Cause we're
this
still
time for
calling
the
him.
family?
Right.
Because yesterday happened to me. My wife said, you know what, let's take the kids out. And whilst we're out, I realized that we have an evening service. That it was time was getting close, but the assignment that he wanted us to do, if I wanted to wait till the whole assignment, we're probably going to get home by 8 something. So I have to apologize to my wife, the baby. This, I have to be at home to do this. It was a challenging, but we work things out. So how do we just
It's like he's doing a
balance
petition to
ourselves in a
pastor.
way that we don't want to just bring our issues to pastor and then also the church leadership that this is what the young ones we're going through.
Right.
That's
How
the
do we
question I have.
balance it? Thank you for that question, Pastor.
That was a really good
That's
one.
a good one.
Yeah, this a challenge that I went through myself. My kids were little, all of them in the, I think, 3, 5, and 7 or so, and I became a presiding elder. I became a district secretary, and I was also dealing with a man of God that was very aggressive, our national head right now, and he always tells you, I needed it yesterday. And I think initially the mistake that I made was looking at God first, and anything connected with the church is also God first. And I did not understand the fact that God first is you and God, family comes, and then the church. You have to understand this basic principle. God first is not about connected to the church. It's about you make sure you don't lose your salvation with God. You keep that relationship. Anything that comes between you personally and God, don't mess it up. Because if Jesus comes right now, you will lose it. Then the next one is your family comes in. Even if pastor calls me and, I have to do some stuff, I have to all night. Pastor said, hey, Elder Frank, will you be there? I had set some project with my family. And I told Pastor, I said, I have this commitment. I can't make it. In the past, I was like, yes, Pastor, I'll be there. My wife would be like, but we have this plan. And why are you? But I have learned through the years to be able to be polite and say, Pastor, I wish I could be there, but I have this commitment that I can't. So we have to be able to put the family first. But when you do that, I believe every man of God will understand if you let them know that, Pastor, my wife really wants me to do that. And Pastor said, don't worry, I'll find somebody. They will always understand you. Unless, even not that, they will tell you another time we can make another time. No pastor as a family man will push you to neglect the family and do the work of God. Because when your family goes wayward and they mess up, it's a disgrace to the church.
Right.
Because you as a leader, you have to be an example to the members sitting out there. And if your son is out there smoking weed and stuff, and you are preaching about don't smoke weed, and they ask you, well, I didn't have time for my son, that's why. It becomes, you got to walk the talk. And that is the challenge we have. So if you are teaching family values at a church, then we feel very bad at times when we feel like, oh, pastor is calling, and you are, and I have to pick this pastor. Pastor is human. He understands you, and he will also let you know that, family comes first. And I learned that a tough way beginning, you have issues, my wife will be like, Frank, either you quit this presiding thing, or so
or
my
you're
wife
sleeping
was
in
very
the
tough and
basement.
said, I can't do this by myself. I know it's God's work, but you have to be home for this kid. And I went through a lesson, and I think every young guy coming up, don't neglect the family against what the church will, because God will hold you responsible if you don't take care of the family. That's
such a good point. Yeah. That's such a good point. And
I wonder how Pastor feels about that from his perspective.
Pastor, I won't lie, because Pastor's call is the one call I pick up always. I don't answer my phone much. Right. But Pastor, what do you think?
It's good to know some of this. Good to hear some of this questions. One thing I want to say is that they are right. We as children of God, we expect you to be responsible to your family. Your family you should always be responsible to the family, making sure you do the things you're supposed to do. But also at the same time, understand who you are as also a leader in the church. These things that we are talking about, there's one thing for somebody to be a deaconess, one thing for somebody to be an elder, and another thing for somebody to be a presiding elder, and another thing for somebody to be a pastor. Good thing about this church is that we've all been through the process. That's right. I was in the process before I became a pastor. How did I do it? One of the things we should understand is that you should know how to delegate your responsibility. If you know that maybe I'm going on vacation,
right,
and you are a presiding elder, you should know that you should put the right arrangements in place.
Delegate
the assignment, so that, okay, Papa, I'll be going on vacation this week. So I've made sure that so and so is stepping in for me. And for that reason, anything you can call me.
Right.
You can call me or you can text me, but I'll be on vacation.
Right.
There might be some things I need to test you and find out or even talk to you really quick. And because I know you're on vacation, I will not hold you for that long.
Right.
The other thing I want to say also is that me personally, I like relationship. I want to get to know, especially all my elders.
Right.
I want to know how their life is. I want to know how their wife is, and how their wives also respond to certain things.
Right.
And also they themselves, their work schedule and stuff like that. So if I know that this time you are at work, when I call you and don't pick up, I know you are at work.
Right.
You will not be back. These are some of the things we should open up to our pastors and know that they are also going through the same thing you are going through. But you should let them know how your life schedule is. You can't just leave your responsibility while you know that the person's ministry is dependent on you.
Right.
You know, so you do those things and make sure you demarcate or assign other people to know to do certain things, even though you are not around. And the other thing I want to also say is that depending on the level of your responsibility in the church, you will go through some of these things, no matter what.
Yes.
I want to let us all know. If you really, really want to serve God, there are going to be times you go through this. It doesn't matter how you are able to kind of you know, assign other people and also plan very well. You will go through it. I went through it. There were moments it was difficult. But the other thing I want to also encourage all of us is that there will be some off days that, hey, you can let Pastor know that, okay, this off day, I would like to spend with my family. So that if there's anything that would need, it will be just maybe a phone call. But it will not be maybe putting you or assigning you to do something. So all of us have maybe 2 off days here and there. You know, so those off days, you know, but this one I'll be available.
Right.
One of the things, when I used to be an elder, I'll always call my pastor to let him know that, Papa, I'm off today. I'm always home. If you need me, call me. I always let him know every week because there are a lot of other people, so he forgets. So every week I let him know I'm home today. If there's anything, you know, let me know. I will be around. You know, so those are the things. The relationship aspect is important. But I want to say, do not neglect your family at the expense of the church. Your family is very important to you. And we are also watching to make sure that you do what you need to do for your family. But learn how to, you know, assign other people. Learn how to plan very well when you are going on a vacation or when you are doing certain things. And also when we call you, and maybe sometimes our phone call can take a little long, you know. So, what you say, oh, Papa, I am somewhere, so, you know, when we talk for a little, I'm somewhere. Right. You know,
I'll call you back.
Then we understand that.
Nice.
We don't be afraid of us.
Right.
We are all human beings. To me, maybe our friend went through certain things as a secretary, but I don't do that to my secretary. I don't do that personally. I don't do that. If there are certain things I can do, I try to do it. And if there are certain things, maybe even my secretary, I know he's busy and I cannot do, I also employ other elders to do it.
Right.
There are other elders there, so let's get them involved. You know, so, but your family is very important. And please, if there is something also that you feel like is becoming
too much
for you or a burden on your family, find time to have a conversation with your pastor. Yeah. Papa, I realize this thing is becoming, how do you go through this? How do I do it? And there are some people too.
They won't say anything.
They won't say anything. And they feel like maybe they are afraid or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Right. Your pastor is your friend. Talk to him. Share your challenges with him. Maybe you have some word or two to encourage you. Amen.
Amen. Well, Pastor, right before Ifya comes in, I'm out of town the whole month of August. I'm just telling you. The whole month of August. I'm not here.
Pastor said delegate.
That's the whole month. Wow, that's like a Ghana vacation.
The whole month, Ifya, over to you.
All right, so I know we're getting close to time, but before we, jump off, we've had a great discussion. I really want to ask this question, and I think I'm gonna go to you, Brother Emmanuel. So I know that, as women, we are emotional, or we tend to be emotional, and so expressing ourselves and expressing our emotions or our feelings isn't really a hard thing. We don't have to think about it, but it seems like, for men, it's a little bit harder for you all to express your emotions. And with everything we've discussed, the immense responsibility that, an African man or husband or a father tends to bear, it must be a lot. And so I can, assume that there are times where you're down, you feel down, right? You don't feel your best mood-wise. Why is it that you guys find it so hard to express your emotions, or to at least let us into, okay, maybe I'm not feeling my best.
Right.
Maybe I'm even a little depressed.
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. I believe your wife should be somebody you can also depend on. I mean, apart from the wife depending on you as a husband, you being that strong person in the family, strong for the kids. I believe it stems from, you know, where we came from, especially as African, you know, kids growing up in Africa, and what we learned from our fathers, you know, talked about, you know, being this authoritative figure, you know, telling, you know, do this, do that. So I think that, you know, trail is still in there. That, I mean, we're trying to, you know, get off the way, because they feel like, you know, when I go to the woman to tell her this, because the woman is supposed to depend on me. That's the notion. I cannot depend on the woman for, you know, her to lift me up when I'm down. You know, I think that's the cause of, you know, a lot of, you know, depression and stuff in most African men, because they keep stuff in instead of, you know, letting it out. Because I believe if you share your burden with your wife, I mean, this is your partner, help meet. Because I mean, if you understand your wife and you understand the context of the marriage from a biblical perspective, you realize that, you know, your wife is your friend. You know, most of the time when you get into marriage, they'll tell you that don't let, you know, a third person come into the relationship.
Right.
So if a third person is not going to come into the relationship, then you know that if you're going through stuff, then you have to discuss it with your wife.
Right.
Your wife might not have all the answer, but she is the one, you know, the Lord gave you as a helpmeet.
Right.
That is why the Bible calls it helpmeet. So you discuss it. I mean, you'll be surprised, you know, some of the things some of the women will even discuss with you. And you feel like, this is, you know, very encouraging. And they tend to even strengthen you the more. Yeah, so when you do that, I mean, your wife even begins to, you know, believe in you the more. And, you know, the least things she'll come and tell you. So I believe it's something that we, the African men especially, you know, have to, you know, come out of. And, you know, so, I mean, it will help us grow longer. You know, because I mean, I don't know exactly what the life expectancy is, but then I believe if you're able to, you know, let things, you know, come out instead of keeping it in, I mean, it will help us and grow more healthier, and also get the woman involved. Because if we going through stuff and we discuss with the woman, she'll feel like, oh, okay, I also belong to, you know, whatever is going on in your life. And if you don't tell me, then I mean, I don't even know it. So how do I even comfort you? Yeah, so it's important to open up and, you know, let the woman know that, hey, yeah, because I mean, for all you know, because a lot of people say that women are the weaker sex. I mean, I think that one is also an illusion, because, I mean, when Jesus resurrected, I was telling the Freshers Assembly today that when Jesus resurrected, he showed himself first to Mary Magdalene. You know, when he showed himself to the men later on, I mean, they were like,
they all were scared. Go ahead and say it.
Some were even scared, yeah. Mary Magdalene, like, hey, you know, because she was even looking for him to, you know, take care. He said that he was asking the angels that, hey, do you know where they laid him so I can go get him? You know, right. That is strength right there. So I mean, so for all we know, the women are very strong. I mean, mentally as well. Yeah. Even though they are termed the more emotional ones. I mean, when we tell them stuff, they're able to strengthen us, so, you know, the family and the relationship of marriage can thrive. Yeah, that's what I believe in.
Awesome.
Okay, well, thank you. I think that, you know, it's a really solid note to kind of wrap up on. It's always kind of sad when we get to this point, but, you know, we definitely don't want to hold you too long as well. So I think the nugget for today, you know, kind of listening and hearing everyone speak, is that as fathers, it is important to be involved. I heard that word so many times throughout the conversation. So fathers out there, as we're celebrating you today, definitely want to encourage you to be involved in the lives of your children and to be intentional about that. So if you didn't do anything this Father's Day, I know it's Father's Day, it's all about, you know, it's your day, but make it a point to do something next week. If you didn't do something, bring the family along and just have a good time with your kids, even if it's just sitting on the couch and just catching up.
Exactly. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Great Minds, for watching us. It's been great. And thank you to all of our wonderful panelists for being here today and honoring the show and honoring Father's Day. We can't leave without saying a big happy Father's Day to our wonderful father and our miss.
Absolutely.
Our lovely pastor. God bless you and thank you so much for all that you're doing, all the phone calls that you're taking from us in the middle of the night. We appreciate you. And is there anything you guys want to say to the Great Minds, to those watching? You want to wish them a happy Father's Day as well, Pastor, before we shoot off?
I just want to wish all the men who are watching us, I want to say a happy Father's Day to you all. And I want to say that you are all great fathers.
Yes.
We've seen you, we've watched you, and you are doing the best you can to support your family. The thing we should understand is that we can do more. Let's go and do more to support our wives. Let's share that. Let's do that shared responsibility, as Elder was talking about, to support the family. God richly bless you and grant you more grace to become an excellent and awesome father in your family and the church.
Amen. Thank you for watching, Great Minds.
Anybody else have anything to add before we move?
Well, I just want to say happy Father's Day. There's nothing like a weak father when you help your wife. Don't let people tell you that. You will be proud of your family as you support them and join the family to be the responsible father and be there for the children. So Father's Day is always something that we bring into remembrance how far we've come with the family, with your wife, and also your children being proud of you as a father. Happy Father's Day.
Oh, happy Father's Day. Thank you. Do you have anything, Emmanuel?
Yes, I also would like to say happy Father's Day to you and all you fathers to know that Father's Day and every other day as a father is about love, and it's about creating the balance between the material and spiritual, nourishment for your family, having the family at the center stage and with love projected, because love is the most supreme ethic. And keep loving, and the Lord bless you.
God bless you. Happy
Join us
Father's
next
Day.
time on Great Minds. Come, let's reason together.
See ya.
See ya.